folks, the Filipina P here. And today I'm going to show you a ubiquitous and iconic feature of the Philippines that many locals rely on every day. No, it's not the Western Union office. It's the jeepney. They're quirky, they're cute, they're quaint, and they're everywhere. So, where do they come from? Who rides them? And what are the secret codes you need to know in order to master jeepney etiquette? Let's have a look. The original jeepneys were leftover American military surplus from the Willey and Ford companies. After World War II, the US donated thousands of these vehicles, and as Filipinos, we don't waste anything. So we modify them by adding metal roofs for shade, long benches for seating capacity, and voila! Our public transportation system was born. These days, jeepneys are brightly colored with chrome embellishments and custom features. There are long ones, short ones, and just about every design you can think of painted on the sides. Even Spider-Man. A fully customized jeepney can cost you up to $14,000 US, but almost all of the ones you see on the road today have endlessly recycled and refurbished parts, and many of them look like they've seen better days. So what's it like to use the jeepney system? Let's go find out. I'm here on the streets and I'm trying to flag down a jeepney. But the tricky part is which jeepney to take because there's a bazillion different kinds of routes in bigger cities. Unlike in the provinces where jeepneys travel back and forth between cities and barangays, here in the bigger cities like Cebu, that doesn't happen that way. The general destination of the jeepney is painted on its side. However, there's numbers and a letter on top of it that determine the exact streets and the parts of the town that they're passing through, like 13A, 16D, or 4L, or 01K. Well, if you're a foreigner and you don't know those numbers and the routes, then you better ask a local for guidance for the first couple of times you'll be riding a jeepney. So now let's look for a jeepney. Okay, we're taking the 13C to Talamban. Okay guys, we made it. So guys, let's talk about jeepney ownership. Most of the drivers that I know, they don't own the jeepneys they're driving. Usually it's owned by a different person or a different business. So what they do is they're paying a boundary fee, that's what they call it, it's like a rental fee for X amount of time. Let's say for an 8-hour to 12 hours shift rental for the jeepney. So what they do is they're going to drive the jeepney around, and whatever's left, then they can keep it. And also, before returning the jeepney to the owners at the end of the day, they have to replace the gas. So for example, one jeepney that I know, he's paying 1,000 pesos, which is about $20 a day for the rental to the owner, and the rest of the money that he makes in a day, he can keep it for his family. The tricky part is $20 a day might not be a lot for you guys out there, but here in the Philippines, it's very hard for a jeepney driver to earn as much as over 1,000 pesos. Sometimes, especially due to the current situation, they're earning less than 1,000 a day. So they have to, it's like a deficit. So they have to work in a longer hours to just to pay the rental fee to the owner of the jeepney. And on top of that, the prices of the gas here in the Philippines is rising. So that's not really good news for the drivers out here. Just because you have a jeepney doesn't mean to say you're allowed to roam around town and pick up passengers. What you have to do is go to LTFRB, or the Land Transportation and Franchising Regulatory Board, to buy a franchise. Now, I'm not talking about buying the KFC or McDonald's. You're buying the route, a certain route that the jeepney is going to be taking to pick up passengers. Now, for the fees vary from island to island to city within the Philippines. Now, for example, back in my hometown, It costs about 60,000 pesos, which is about 1,200 US dollars to buy the franchise. Now for the franchise, you have to renew that every 5 years for a small fee. And on top of that, the registration of the jeepney itself should be renewed every year. And yeah, it's quite expensive. That's why one of the reasons the jeepney drivers don't own their own jeepneys, because of the franchise. It's quite a lot, especially in this part of the world. So now let's talk about fares. Now here in Cebu City, the minimum fare for riding a jeepney is about 9 pesos. It's about 20 cents US. But if you're going to the final destination of the jeepney ride, you have to pay about 20 pesos, which is about 40 cents US. Now, if you hand your money to the person next to you to be given to the driver, you have to tell the driver how many passengers you're paying for, so he knows how much to deduct from your money. Now, if there's change, the driver has to give it to the person in front of you and wait until that change makes its way to me. And also, if you're saying, we say pliti when we're about to hand the money going to the driver. Pliti means that's your fare, telling the driver that's your fare. Now, for telling how many people you're paying for, you have to say usa for 1 and duha for 2. And you can Google search, you know, how to count in Visayan. So that's how we say it. Palihog ko. Palihog, pliti. Lamat. Pliti kuya, duha talamban. Now the driver has to calculate and pass the change from person to person until it reaches to me. Got 10 pesos change, guys. So that's how you do it, Filipino style. I know, guys, you might be thinking how he's able to know who paid and who has not. So I got the front seat. I'm here with the driver. Kuya, unsahan nimo pagpakaibalo nga kanang ang tanang mga pasahero ng bayad na nimo? How do you?
Bahala na sila dai.
Okay. I just
Sila dai bahala. Bayad ba nila ko?
okay, so
Konsensya na lang nila.
Konsensya na lang nila. So I just asked the driver how he can keep track of people who, you know, who paid and who has not. And what he said he just trusts the passengers and it's up to them to pay and be, you know, being honest if they pay their fare. So that's how honesty is the best policy. Kuya, is it normal to do the fan thing? Kanang pinilo ba nga mga bills?
Oh.
Normal ra sa mga driver, ana?
Oh. Kasaway ko doktor. Kasaway ko doktor ang driver. Driver ba yung kan? Kasaway ko doktor. Ang doktor ba yung kanyang?
Okay. So, ikay mo organize sa mga bills. Okay. So, I just asked Kuya, is it normal for drivers to do the bills into fan thing, you know, in between their fingers? He said since he doesn't have a conductor, he does everything.
So when the driver gets a bill, he folds it in half, arranges it by value, and sticks the bills between his fingers so he can reach him quickly to make change, all while driving in crazy traffic. Pretty cool, huh?
During pre-COVID times, jeepneys were packed beyond their seating capacities. So if there's a passenger coming in and there's no seat available, sometimes a stranger would offer their laps to, you know, for you to sit on. So can you imagine doing that in the West? Well, here you can actually offer your laps as a seat for a stranger. And before, there are people hanging outside in the entrance of the jeepney just to reach their destination. And when I was younger, me and my friends were on top of the jeepney because you know, those times it was allowed, but now, especially in the cities, it's not allowed to ride on top of the jeepney because it's dangerous. So sometimes as well, guys, if you don't have enough fare for your child, they have to sit on your lap. Now for the fun part, getting off the jeepney. There are two ways to get off the jeepney. First, you have to kiss the driver. But not literally. All you have to do is make a kissing sound like this. The second way is to use a coin and tap the bar on top of you. I don't know how he heard that, but you know, there's traffic and noises here, but let's get off. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's explanation of the jeepney. And if you ever find yourself in the Philippines, I almost guarantee you'll be riding one and making your own kissing and tapping noises. Just don't get lost, okay? Well, as usual, I'll be back in just a few days with something to make you smile. Till next time, folks. Well, I thought I knew all the codes and rituals of riding the jeepney, but I think I discovered a new one. It seems to be like the emergency stop, like this.
The jeepney will immediately come to a full stop and all passengers will exit safely and quickly. Works like a charm, every time.
Just one last thing before you go. If you think about it, I'm kind of like your bartender, listening to your comments and questions, giving you advice when I can, and brewing up some intoxicating content for your enjoyment. The only thing I ask in return is a small tip in the form of a thumbs up on this video, subscribing to my channel, sharing this video with friends, and hitting the notification bell so you know when your next round has been poured. I promise, it'll only take 10 seconds to do, and your tip will make my day. You wouldn't want to shaft your bartender, would you? And for last call, why not enjoy some of my other videos too? See you real soon!